Good morning, friends. Today we will learn about the parasitic infections of skin and soft tissue. Already I have done one presentation on this topic, but some of the parasite were remained, so I am covering in this topic. So let's start from a case study. There is a 25-year-old male from Sudan present with intensely itching blister on his right foot. Now, what could be the causative parasite based on the geographical location and clinical presentation? What is the current status of its epidemiology? What are the important features of the control program for this parasite? So here we are having the history that from Sudan, that is the location, and there is a blister on the foot, itching blister. So on that basis, so this is infection of dracunculiasis or the guinea worm disease. Now what is this parasite? So this parasite, that is an infection by somatic nematode, that is the Dracunculus medinensis. It is also being called as the guinea worm disease or dracunculiasis. So what we notice in this disease, that is usually the patient having this guinea worm infection, they have blister on the skin, that is the cutaneous blisters, and these blisters are usually seen on those areas which can be exposed to water, that is on the foot, on the legs. So then initially it was endemic in India also, and it was very important disease that has been seen in Rajasthan. It was endemic in Rajasthan. There was a reason for that. There were step wells were there, and when the people they used to take water from the well, so at that time these blisters which are present on the foot, so at that time these blisters they play a role and they spread the infection in the wells, and from them the other people will take. So that is it was common. So whenever this question being asked, usually is based on that in Rajasthan, because of the step wells were there, कुएं जो थे वो step wells थे. So there was, it was common there, this guinea worm disease. Now nowadays in India it's not there. Currently it's endemic only in 3 to 4 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So now we learn about life cycle of this parasite. So how this infection we acquire. So mainly this infection is acquired from the contaminated water. So when this water is infected with the cyclops, so the cyclops are harboring this infective parasite. So parasite is present in the cyclop, and what is that stage? That is the L3 stage, larva. So when this water is taken by the human being, so this cyclop are digested in the stomach and this larva is released. Then this larva will move to the small intestine. From there it penetrate and it will move to the thoracic muscle. So there it will convert to mold to the adult worm, then sexual maturation, and the gravid female worm now will move to the skin. So skin usually it will form the blisters, and usually it will be formed on those regions which can come in contact with the water. So usually in the leg region. Now whenever that region is come in contact with the water, the adult female jo hogi, that will discharge larva in the water, and these larvae will be taken up by the cyclops which are present in the water. So they will take, and there certain stages of this parasite will go on, and from there another person who is taking that water, then cyclops will enter and this cycle will continues. Now what are the presentation? Usually once the person has taken this contaminated water, so approximately after 1 year, this blister will be formed. So this female worm will reach to the skin, to the surface of the skin, and that blister will form, and from there it can discharge the larva. Also sometimes this female worm can come out. So this blister is painful and female worm can come from there. There will be redness, patient can have fever, nausea, itching. That blister will show. That is very easy to diagnose the case of this dracunculiasis, because it's a easily visible blister, that worm can come out. It's itching, Most common site, that is the lower leg, ankle and foot. Secondary, sometimes there can be secondary bacterial infection in that region, so at the blister site. So this you can see, that is how if this worm is coming out, so how this can be removed. So that I have shown in the next slide. So that is, it has to be pulled very slowly and slowly. We cannot pull immediately, otherwise it will get break up, and there can be certain complications later on if we are not able to remove this whole worm as a whole. How we can diagnose this case? That is, either we can detect the adult worm. How? That is the gravid female worm. We are seeing directly it is appearing in the blister coming out, or we can go for the, if we are seeing on the X-ray, that is the calcified adult form. Then larva. So what technique is used so that this larva can come? That is, leg with the ulcer is placed in the cold water, and if you see that water under the microscope, so there you can see the larva. Then antibody detection. Then how we can treat? That is, if this worm is coming, slowly and gently you have to extract, and it will take a longer time, that is approximately 15 to 20 days. So with the, like in the previous slide I have shown you, that is using a small stick, we bind it with the stick, and daily with the small traction we used to try to take it out. Heavy pressure is avoided, otherwise there can be allergic reactions or the secondary bacterial infection can take place. So that was about the guinea worm disease. Now there is another case study. A 40-year-old male complains of intense muscular pain, swollen eyelids for last 2 weeks. He had a history of eating partially cooked boar meat when he visited forest 2 months back. On physical examination, there was splinter hemorrhage in his nail bed. A muscle biopsy reveals coiled helminth larva. So, what the history is saying? There is a muscular pain. That is, something is there in the muscle. Along with that, swollen eyelid is also there. There is a history of partially cooked boar meat and a positive history of splinter hemorrhage in the nail bed. Also, they have given you that muscle biopsy. That means it's a parasite of muscle. That is the helminth larva is there. So, what are the parasites which are caused by pork consumption? What is the pathogenesis? So, pork consumption, all the parasite you have to tell in this, which you can have, the infection which you can acquire by pork consumption. Then, particularly about this case, what is the pathogenesis of this disease and how would you treat? So, what is this case? This is a Trichinella infection, that is the being said as trichinellosis. So this is a zoonotic infection and it is acquired from the domestic pigs or the carnivores. So this worm, adult worm is short in size, 1.5 to 3 mm long. It has 4 stages of larva and there is no egg stage. So egg is not there. L1 larva, that is the infective form through which we are getting the infection, forms cyst in the muscles. What is the life cycle? That is, the man or animal, they acquire infection as it is a zoonotic infection. So acquire infection by ingestion of raw or uncooked pork, and that pork is present having the L1 larva of this Trichinella worm. So this larva is there, and when it enters in the stomach, so this larva is released, carried to the small intestine. There it convert to the adult worms, fertilize, and they lay the L1 larva. Now this larva then will penetrate intestine and enters the circulation and reach to the striated muscle. So mainly reaching to the stomach, going to intestine, and these larva then move to the muscle. So they are going to the muscle. So if it is present in the man, so it will be dead end, no further transmission of infection occurs. But if it is the life cycle is going in the animal, then again that cycle will be continued if someone is eating the improperly cooked pork, then he can acquire the infection. So this is the Trichinella spiralis larva. So how the patient will present? When this worm is present in the intestine, usually it is asymptomatic, person is not having any symptom until and unless there is a very heavy load of the parasite, so they can be watery diarrhea. Then larva migration. So when it goes to the stage of, then this larva will migrate to the muscle or to the orbital region, that is the periorbital or the facial edema is very common. So they will be, when you will find a case study, there will be a history of periorbital edema. Then there can be hemorrhage in the subconjunctiva, retina and nail beds. Maculopapular rash and migration to heart, CNS and lungs are rare. So mainly there will be encystment in the muscle, so there will be muscular pain history. Along with that there is a periorbital facial edema or there will be splinter hemorrhage. So these all are feature were present in the case study also. So there you can get idea that this could be the parasite. Then comes the muscle encystment. So it occurs 2 to 3 weeks after infection. So how this present, that is there will be pain in the muscle at the location where this cyst is present, and there will be inflammation, edema and weakness. Extraocular muscles most commonly involved, that means the muscles of the eyes, that are the extraocular muscles. Then next are the biceps, muscles of the jaw, neck, lower back and diaphragm. So depending upon which muscles are more commonly involved and which can be the less commonly involved. So this you can see, this is a Trichinella infection you can see in the muscle tissue, muscle biopsy. Now how we can diagnose, that is we have to demonstrate this larva in the muscle biopsy. So which muscle biopsy we used to take, that is either from the gastrocnemius, deltoid and biceps. We can have the direct slide technique or we can go for the IgG antibody, but difficult to differentiate between whether it is a present infection or it's a past, and cross reactivity also seen. We can go for modified double sandwich ELISA, that is where we are detecting the antigen. So we can detect in the stool, and it is useful when we are detecting from the first day of infection. Then treatment, if it is a mild infection, symptomatic. If it is moderate, mebendazole and albendazole. And if it is severe, so there will be severe pain in that myositis or the where this encystment occurs. So glucocorticoid is added, steroids are added. It will be beneficial in case of severe myositis or in the myocarditis. Then another condition where there is a parasitic infection of the skin, that is the cutaneous larva migrans. Now what is this cutaneous larva migrans? That is, it is a skin infection, skin lesion produced by nematodes of lower animals. That means these are the parasites which are unusual to the human beings. They are the parasites which are causing infection in the animals, but accidentally they enter our body. So that is, their natural hosts are felines. Humans are the abnormal host. And when they enter an abnormal host, so they are not able to complete their whole cycle. So they will be deviated and they will be moving aimlessly in our skin. So that is the cutaneous larva migrans. That is, they are now migrating in the skin. So that is the filariform larva, infective form present in the soil, transmitted by skin penetration. Certain examples are there like Encyclostoma brasiliensis, caninum, then Strongyloides stercoralis, Encyclostoma duodenale, Nicata americans. So that I have already told you that their life cycle get arrested, they are not able to complete their normal development, and they wander aimlessly in the skin and the subcutaneous tissue. Therefore, they are called as cutaneous larva migrants or creeping eruptions. So these larvae, they move in the superficial layer of the skin and they form a track. That track can be seen by you, and they provoke allergic reaction in the sensitized person. So they will be itching, they will be lava currents. So that you can see here, you can easily notice that there is some lava form is there, which is there in the skin. Now how we can diagnose? So mainly by the clinical feature only, you can see that linear track, history of exposure. Larva is usually not detected in the skin biopsy. PCR we can do. We can anywhere in, if we have any parasitic infection, there is elevated eosinophilia. So that will show that there is certain allergic or parasitic reaction is there. Then Charcot Leydig crystal in the sputum, and how we can treat oral and topical thiobendazole is effective. So that's all for this parasitic infection for the skin and subcutaneous tissue. If you have any doubt regarding this topic, you can mail me or you can write me in the comment section. All the queries are very welcomed. Thank you.